The Canon 16-35 f2.8L Mark II. Is this the must-have lens for vlogging? Originally released in 2007, this lens was replaced in 2016 by the Mark III. With only minor improvements made optically to the newer version, the Mark II is still very much a relevant choice for filmmakers. And considering its place in the market now, you can pick these up used for around half what they used to cost new. We got this one from London Camera Exchange for just £750. It's what we call an ultra wide angle zoom lens, which means it covers the full focal ranges for all wide angles from 16mm right up to 35 on a full frame sensor. Now, despite being designed for Canon's full frame sensors, this will also work on the cheaper DSLRs that have APS-C size sensors. The 1.6 times crop that you'll get on that sensor will make the effective focal range of this lens 25mm up to 56mm, so still very usable for any selfie style vlog shooting or even talking heads or interview style pieces. The lens has a constant aperture of f2.8 when wide open. That can stop all the way down to f22, so it's not the fastest lens, it's not going to give the shallowest depth of field, but it is still good enough to offer great separation from the background and work well in low light situations. So let's just jump straight in and look at the good bits of the Canon 16-35 f2.8L Mark II. The first great bit about this lens is the build quality. It's obviously going to be the first thing you notice when you unwrap your new lens, and it screams out quality. It's weighty in hand, around 600 grams. It feels premium. It's just a joy to hold, really. Every part of it is well machined. The focus ring even has a nice action, which is easy to grab focus with. When lenses are this well built, they're just a joy to work with, and they feel every pound of that price that you paid. The next great feature about this lens is its aperture range, that f2.8 when wide open. In the context of being versatile for run and gun or vlog style shooting, that's almost the perfect maximum aperture. It's not super fast, so not going to offer the best bokeh, but it is forgiving enough for shooting video. So if there's any movement with your shot, the depth of field is large enough to be forgiving for your subject to move slightly and not drop in and out of focus. Now, with that maximum aperture is also its low light performance, especially on APS-C sized cameras. That f2.8 aperture lets in more light than its f4 alternative, meaning you get better low light performance even on smaller sensor sized cameras. The next great point is how good this lens is optically. If you're making the step up from one of Canon's cheaper lenses, you're going to notice the difference in picture quality straight away. Now, a caveat to that is the fact that it's not going to be sharp edge to edge. The corners are going to be a little bit soft, but that's the trade-off you make with any wide angle lens. If you do want to get the sharpness in the corners, you're just going to have to stop your aperture down slightly with this lens. And with all that said, let's look at the bad points of the Canon 16-35 f2.8 Mark II. The first bad point about this lens is the fact that there's no image stabilization built in. Now, if you're shooting video handheld, this becomes a big deal. It becomes even worse if your camera doesn't have in-body stabilization. At that point, any handheld shooting with this lens becomes impossible. It's a trade-off they've had to make the aperture f2.8, but it's just a caveat worth bearing in mind if you're looking at this lens for any handheld video shooting. Next up is how noisy the autofocus motor is. It's the same case with any L series lens. Canon uses the USM autofocus motor. And in fairness, that autofocus technology is really good. It's razor sharp and very quick, considering it's moving such a weight of glass, but there is audible noise from it, especially if you're using the in-body microphone or hot shoe mounted microphone on your camera. It's not unusably noisy, it's definitely passable, but again, it's something worth bearing in mind if you're planning on using this lens for any vlog or run and gun style shooting. And finally, is the price when compared to the f4 with image stabilization. The f2.8 version is a lot more expensive, and if you're on a budget, that can be hard to swallow. There are key reasons for the price difference though, and really that revolves around that faster maximum aperture. It's going to render you a more beautiful image, it's going to offer you more separation from your subject and the background, and give you that bokeh that you may be looking for. But that price difference is something you absolutely have to bear in mind. So in summary, the Canon 16-35 f2.8L Mark II would make an incredible addition to any filmmaker's lens choices. It offers some awesome features that you can't find elsewhere in the focal range. The only thing you need to consider is whether image stabilization is important to your filmmaking style or not. So if you'd like to know more about this lens, there's some links below, and whilst you're there, why not consider subscribing to our channel or even joining our Filmmakers Club, our monthly club where you get access to our assets, our presets for Premiere Pro, and even our copyright-free music library, all available to help you on your filmmaking journey. That's been my grab and go review of the Canon 16-35 f2.8 Mark II. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.